And now it is time for our signature segment, Say What?, featuring some of the most wacky, astonishing, and damnable things uttered by politicians and the chattering class. Impeachment fever is running high among the Democrats' voter base following the Mueller report, while the party leadership isn't exactly sure what to do. They want to take down President Trump by any means which avail themselves. But with a presidential election on the horizon, leading Democrats fear that a move for impeachment would be seen by voters as an overreach. Thus, the guarded language used on network TV by the three Democrat committee heads who have promised to launch investigations. Here are Jerry Nadler, Elijah Cummings, and Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Judiciary, Oversight, and Intelligence Committees, on their plans regarding impeachment.
We may get to that, we may not. As I've said before, it is our job to go through all the evidence.
Do you think this is impeachable?
Yeah, I do. Some of this, if proven, some of this would be impeachable, yes.
I'm not there yet, but I can foresee that possibly coming. But again, the fact is that I think we have to be very careful here.
Impeachment is likely to be unsuccessful. Now, it may be that we undertake an impeachment nonetheless. I think what we are going to have to decide as a caucus is what is the best thing for the country.
Right. What's best for the country, which has just been put through the ringer of a 22-month investigation based on hysterical and entirely false charges that Trump committed treason. But with the roadmap for obstruction laid out by Mueller, the Democrats continue to pound away at the president, maybe because they've decided they can't beat him on the issues, can't beat him on the roaring economy, or on the record low unemployment across the board, or on soaring business and consumer confidence. So they'll just keep investigating every dark corner of Trump's life, hoping something, anything they come up with might weaken Trump in his attempt for a second term. The fact that the issues will favor the president became that much more obvious this week with a stark announcement by Joe Biden entirely based on Trump being a racist, which we played for you earlier, but also more radical ideas floated by some of the other leading candidates for president right now. Start with Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren, who would have the taxpayers pay off student debt for anyone owing up to $50,000. And promising free, i.e. taxpayer-funded, college for everyone. An idea that Stuart Varney of Fox Business Channel says amounts to legalized theft.
We are going to roll back student loan debt. And part two is to make college universally available with free tuition. Can we talk about how to pay for it? An ultra-millionaire's tax. It's 2 cents on every dollar of the great fortunes above $50 million. We say you got to pay something back so everybody else gets a chance.
This is buying votes with other people's money. She proposes to pay for all of this free college stuff, pay for it by a tax on the wealthy. That's a new tax. It's not an income tax, it's a wealth tax. If you're very successful, you've made your pile, or they're going to take it off you every year.
Okay, soak the rich to pay for free college and wiping out all student debt. But Bernie Sanders may have topped that idea, saying that prisoners serving time should be allowed to vote from prison, leading a questioner at one of those CNN town halls to ask Bernie this follow-up question.
You have said that you believe that people with felony records should be allowed to vote while in prison. Does this mean that you would support enfranchising people like the Boston Marathon bomber?
I think the right to vote is inherent to our democracy. Yes, even for terrible people.
What will they think of next? Most all of the Democratic presidential candidates have already gotten behind the Green New Deal, which would definitely bankrupt the country, Medicare for All, which would probably bankrupt the country, and the termination of all private health insurance, abolition of the Electoral College, letting 16-year-olds vote, and, of course, new gun control measures, as outlined stridently by another of the 20 Democratic presidential candidates, Kamala Harris.
There are people in Washington, D.C., supposed leaders, who have failed to have the courage to reject a false choice, which suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. Supposed leaders in Washington, D.C., who have failed to have the courage to recognize, you know what, you want to go hunting, that's fine. But we need reasonable gun safety laws in this country, starting with universal background checks and a renewal of the assault weapon ban.
At the same time, on most every other issue, Kamala is hedging her bets, preferring not to take a position, but to have conversations.
Do you believe that Americans should have the right to vote at age 16?
I'm really interested in having that conversation.
Senator, yes or no, do you support financial reparations?
I support that we study that. We should study it and see.
Elizabeth Warren is here, as you know. She said that she supports student loan forgiveness for 42 million Americans.
Yeah.
Would you go that far? Do you support that?
Well, I support anything that is about reducing the debt of student loans, and I think that's an important conversation to have.
But people who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
A lot of conversations going on among Kamala and the other, 19 candidates, the field growing by 2 more this week with the announcement by Biden and also by an obscure congressman from Massachusetts, Seth Moulton, known mostly for a failed attempt to get rid of Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, but now looking to win the presidency.
I'm running because we have to beat Donald Trump. And I want us to beat Donald Trump because I love this country.
Okay, that's a winning message. Let's see if Seth Moulton can even get anyone to pay attention. A problem already experienced by another of the gaggle of candidates, Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota, who delivered a line at another one of those CNN town halls about getting the best of a right-wing Republican. She thought it would excite people a lot more than it did.
Every single time I have run, I have won every single congressional district in my state, including Michelle Bachmann's, okay? It's when you guys are supposed to cheer, okay? All right, so.
That reminds me of when Jeb Bush had to induce an audience to applause during his failed 2016 presidential campaign. But it's not just Democrats who are lining up to try and take down President Trump. Last week, Bill Weld, the man who defended the honor of Hillary Clinton in 2016, said he will challenge Trump in a Republican primary. And this week, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan visited New Hampshire and dropped not so subtle hints that he plans to challenge Trump as well because, well, the Mueller report showed that Trump did some bad things.
There was some really unsavory stuff in the report that did not make me proud of the president. You should be able to have confidence in the character and the competence of the people you elect to office. If you can't appeal to anyone beyond the hardcore far-right Republican base, you're not going to win. So if you're going to nominate someone who can't win a general election, that's not good for the Republican Party.
Does Hogan even know that Trump was actually electable in 2016 because he got elected? We close with a loser of the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton committed all manner of potential and real criminal offenses in her email scandal, but was let off the hook by James Comey, leading to criticism that if it was anybody other than Hillary, she would have been indicted, which makes this statement by Hillary after the Mueller report so perfectly ironic.
I think there's enough there that any other person who had engaged in those acts would certainly have been indicted.
Well, you should know because you certainly would have been indicted for destroying some 30,000 emails subpoenaed by Congress and sharing classified information, among other things, if you were not Hillary Clinton. We'll take a quick break and then come back with Talkin' Liberty.